All right, Caleb, so tell me where we're at right now.
So this is where the house right here, this is where Matt lived before they moved to Oregon. This is where I would always come and hang out when we first started communicating and going back and forth. And then when we really got in touch with one another and really started clicking and spending a lot of time together, we would spend all our time in the cul-de-sac. They still got the same neighbors that I met when I moved in, when I took over the care provider position. This is really just the stem site of where I decided that I was gonna really envelop myself into first response and really get into the public service sector, where I decided that, be whatever you want to call it, my true calling was putting my hand out for others and doing what I could do to better their situation. They did sell it, and so there's some new owners. But if we were to walk inside, just a little standard dwelling. Matt and I would spend most of the time in his room. We knocked out a wall, so we made that bathroom a little wider for him because he obviously was in the wheelchair. But we did everything here. We sleepovers when we were in high school. We walked down to Best Buy to blow some time off and experience all the heartbreaks you go through in high school year. Pretty much every major life event that I had from really 18 to 23, I experienced in this neighborhood, in this house. Everything. I started college in this house. I started and graduated from 2 fire academies in this house. I did my EMT program out of this house. I've bled here, I've cried here, I've laid my head to sleep here, I've had anxiety attacks here. Just being here even now just brings back, it brings back memories and really reminds me of the solidified foundation that because of Matt and his family, the Newquist, that I really just built myself on. I could tell you, coming here before I knew Matt and the Newquist and John and everyone, I was a very rocky person. I was very, I don't know if superficial is the right word, but I was very temperamental in my thinking. Wasn't a very wide-gazed individual, and then you meet just the coolest kid in a wheelchair and his family that's nothing but supportive of everybody that comes into their house, just with open arms. They bring this stray kid in from high school that his brother knew. They just really taught me that, you feed off people's energies, and when you meet the right people, they just completely shatter your mentality and the way you think, and they build this new foundational grasp and lay the concrete for you to decide the person you want to be. And I was super fortunate enough to meet this family specifically because the person that they helped, birth and breed, now I'm riding with American, and now I do what I can to help others. Now I'm, pursuing fire, and the last 6 years of my life, like I said, coming here as an 18-year-old would not have been possible had I not met Matt and spent the greater part of almost a decade in the cul-de-sac. This place just, even still, I just get the chills knowing that, everything that Matt and I got into around here. So it's, this is definitely the epicenter of my pursuit of first response and service in the public sector, and just how I like to think that I view the world and view other people, and especially with people with special needs. That my whole vernacular changed. Everything changed after I met Matt and spent so much time here.
Awesome.
So
sharing that story must have been really significant.
Yeah.
All right, Caleb, so tell me about this part. What is this? How is it significant in your life and everything?
So we are at the City of Clovis's Recreation Center. As you can see on the this is where I started playing floorball. We actually started playing in Fresno and then moved to this site. Everything with Nils that happened, what I talked about happened at the Fresno plant, and then we came here. Come here every Monday, Wednesday night, play some field hockey. This is where I blew my knee out. So you could say that this was the epicenter of the biggest and most drastic change in my life. Walked in, normal Monday night. Unfortunately, it's not open right now. I mean, I'd love to take you exactly to where we play and where I hurt my knee. But came here on a Monday night and normal game. I had an open goal and I'm a lefty, so I came in on a shot, loaded into my left leg, and another guy by the name of Don, who's a lot bigger than I am, 6'4", like probably 230, tower, bro. He complete freak accident, came into my knee, kind of like a chop block, and my knee, I was planted into my right, loaded into my left, so my left leg came down, knee went to the ground, foot came up. So the results were torn ACL, torn meniscus, broken febrile condyle and patellar plateau. Then I also sprained my MCL and LCL. So as soon as it happened, it was instantaneous pain. By far the most pain I've ever felt. It's crazy because while I say that, it was also the shortest duration of pain that I've ever had, because my body was just so fueled with adrenaline at that point that I kind of just like laid there. After I hit the ground, I was wailing in pain for about 5 minutes, and then stuff kind of started to subside. The guys helped me up. I remember when it happened, it was you could hear a pin drop. It was just so quiet. Everyone didn't know what to do. I'd completely taken all the air out of the room, just because everybody knew that that things weren't good. So I got up, walked to the bench. My brother came and asked if I was okay. I told him, I was like, yeah, I'm good. Usually you just kind of walk stuff off. There's, you know how guys are.
Yeah, try to be tough.
We think trying to be tough in front of all the other boys. Yeah. So I drove home, hung around for about 5 days, and then that's when I went to the doctor and we had the MRI and everything. But even just coming back here, I sort of get chills just because while I maintain that everything happens for a reason, still just thinking about, getting to the point where you almost have your dream job and your career and everything's almost set and forth and all the cogs are working, and all you got to do is just add a little lubricant, and then to have all that ripped out from you in a 30-second freak accident, it's so humbling. Just because, as I said before, I like to maintain that this version of me was better than the version of me before I hurt myself, who almost got the job. Yeah. So because of this, I like to think that the guy going into the job in next March is just so much more prepared and better equipped from this. I mean, it was a gruesome and very grotesque injury. So this is where it all started, and it's like where it started and ended at the same time. The new version of me started that day, and the old version of me died off, all in seconds.
Yeah. So after that injury, when you obviously knew everything was you were in the hospital, obviously you left this place, what were the emotions that you went through after knowing, like, dang, the doctor said I can't do this, because you had all these dreams, and now it's like this.
So the biggest thing, if we're going to start at the very top and gotta kind of go chronologically in what I was feeling, because I think about it every day. I think about it every night. We're at the point where it's kind of like what helps me sleep. Just kind of going over everything in my head. So when she told me, when my PA told me that I had, done everything to my knee, the torn ACL and the meniscus and the broken bones and all that, on paper it sounds crazy. Then she tells you, oh, this is one of the worst sports injuries I've ever seen in my 25-year career.
Wow.
In my head, I'm like, okay, am I even ever going to get the chance to fight fire? Am I ever going to be able to do the things that I've passionately strived for and worked so hard for? And I remember thinking about my Uncle Vince, who passed away a couple years ago from cancer. He was a biology teacher at Danuba High, and he had always brought us up to represent our last name well. You know, you live your legacy, you leave your legacy. He always told us that people die twice. You die when they bury you, and you die the last time someone says your name.
Yeah.
And so I always grew up, you know, wanting to represent the Costi family.
Yeah.
And when she told me that I had done all that to my knee, I was just really worried that I wasn't going to be able to do my part and represent my last name and bring not necessarily glory, but bring pride and fulfillment to the rest of my family members who helped me get to this point
Of being a Costi.
of being a Costi, exactly. So that's the one thing that I remember. You know, I had a lot. It was a flood of emotions. I was mad. I was angry at the world. I was angry at myself. You know, why, if I'm trying to get into this job, why am I playing these stupid sports? Why am I putting myself in the position to get hurt? It was a lot of, it was a very high influx of different emotions. I was sad, depressed, anxious. You know, like I said, am I ever going to get to fight fire again? That was the one question I asked myself every night. And even just thinking about it now, like, kind of chokes me up. But, you know, after I had surgery, when I cleared up from all the anesthesia, I remember looking down at my knee and I was like, you know what? When things get broken, you fix them, and then they work again.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I took a picture of my knee before surgery, and I looked at that picture, and my knee was the size of a softball. It was black and blue and purple and all disconjointed, and it was disgusting.
Yeah.
And looking at my knee post-surgery, you know, even though it was wrapped in bandages and I had a big brace on, you could still see kind of the influx of the knee. And I just remember thinking, I was like, you know, this is where my life starts. You know, I'm 24 years old. My life now, this is when it starts. Yeah. I mean, I'm born. This is the born again. This is when Caleb decides who Caleb is. Yeah. And it was then that all those other emotions just completely lifted off of my chest. I actually remember exactly when it happened. I was sitting on my uncle's Lazy Boy, and we were watching like America's Funniest Home Videos or something. And I remember looking down at my knee and I was like, you know what? I can decide two things. I can let my why be smaller than my fall, or I can let my why be bigger than my fall. Why am I gonna fight back? Why am I gonna fight fire? Why am I not gonna let an injury so grotesque and gruesome define who I am, not only as a person, not only as a man, but as a Costi? I'm not gonna be somebody who didn't represent my family well. I'm not gonna be somebody who doesn't hold my last name with pride. I mean, I have family who are cops. My aunt and uncle are nurses. My teacher was, my uncle was a high school teacher. My mom's in the nursing program. You know, we're very prideful people, not in an arrogant sense.
Yeah,
but just, you know, we wear our last name on our backs.
Yeah,
and
work hard for it.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not gonna let. That's when I decided I wasn't gonna let something that happened here involving a wiffle ball and a plastic stick, even though it ended up in this, define who I am and my work ethic and my mentality.
Right.
So, you know, the emotions were few and far between, but the one emotion that all of those culminated in and bred was determination and, you know, hunger. And, you know, I know we're saying it over and over, but that's when I decided that I was going to start my breakthrough. I wasn't going to let a wall in a wide street keep me from going around, you know.
All right. So finally, the final place that meant, you know, the world to you. Kind of explain where you're at now and what everything's going on here.
So this is the Clovis Training Center and the Herndon Post for American Ambulance. And when I finally broke through that wall, this is what was on the other side. You know, these are, you know, emergency medicine and the emergency medical service sector and everything. You know, I couldn't fight fire, so the next best thing right now is on an ambulance. I figured this is the one way I can touch the city of Fresno. This is the one way I can lay my healing hand over those who need me. And this is just what I was called to do for the moment, you know, the moment being.
Yeah.
You know, we're here grinding Monday through Friday. Next week I start working 12-hour and 24-hour shifts.
Oh man.
And this is just the culmination of everything. You know, I've been kind of preaching it. You know, everything happens for a reason. And, you know, maybe I wasn't meant to fight fire this year. Maybe this is where I was supposed to be. And it took blowing my knee out, and it took everything from Matt to this point on to get to the most positive aspect of my life right now.
Yeah.
You know, when I got called to interview here and, you know, got the job offer, it was like I this perpetual weight was just taken off my chest because I was finally able to get to the point where I could lay my hand over someone when they called 911. Because I mean, you know, we'll get everything from bloody noses, stubbed toes to heart attacks and gunshot wounds. You know what I mean? We'll get it all. But somebody called 911 in their most dire time of need. And like we've all been in our most dire time of needs and needed someone, you know, I get to be that someone. Wow. And I might be the most, you know, and I'm not trying to sound arrogant.
Yeah,
anyone on these ambulances, they're the most important person in that person's life when they call 911. They're walking in that moment, exactly. But they're walking into that position of chaos and bringing peace and comfort and order. And you know, medics bring their medicines, and you know, we're carrying in oxygen. If you're having trouble breathing, I'm going to give you some O2. If your chest hurts, we're going to do some stuff for you. We're going to get you to the hospital. We're going to get you to definitive care. We're going to calm your most dire time of need down to a dole and transfer you into a doctor's healing hands. So when I got through that wall, this is where it brought me, and I'm just so blessed to even have the opportunity to grind with these guys, to grind with American Ambulance, to build my medical repertoire up bigger than it was before. And you know, if it weren't for them giving me a job, if it weren't for these patches, if it weren't for my EMS number or anything like that, you know, who knows, I might not have gotten hired as a firefighter in the future at all. Yeah. So this was the start of just the new me, the, you know, EMT Caleb, or you know, whatever you want to call it. You know, being on the ambulance and learning all our policies and doing everything, and you know, what to do in this situation, what to do in that situation. It's been more of a blessing than anything. And my mom and dad always told me, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Yeah. And you know, that's where I'm at now. You know, I've been grinding out in the restaurant industry for 6 years, you know what I mean? And there were some points where I was like, you know, I just want to quit. I can't do it. You know, I'm tired of the same mundane thing over and over and over again. But this is where it's at. I mean, this is where I'm here. I'm here now. You know, I'm wearing this shirt because this is where I'm at now, and I'm wearing the pants because that's where I'm going in the future. And you know, I couldn't be more blessed to have been given the opportunities that I've been given, stemmed out of a crazy knee injury. Yeah. And you know, that was my breakthrough. I broke through American Ambulance. Hey. I broke through, you know, my walls. I got through my problems, and here I am, stronger, more mentally fit, you know, ready for whatever the world throws at us, whatever Fresno throws at us, and you know, whatever the future throws at us. And you know, I couldn't have done it without the process. Yep, so.
Awesome, Caleb. Well, thank you, brother.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your story.
Absolutely,
absolutely. I hope it changes a lot of people's lives. You know, I hope it impacts them. Maybe not a full impact, at least they see somebody. Maybe someone will be able to relate to, you know.
And you know, I'm there for anyone who needs me. So.
Good. All right, you guys. Well, you know, I just want to first personally thank Caleb for sharing his story, because you know, sometimes it's not easy to share your pain and be vulnerable. But what he's doing is helping maybe somebody else grow. What we're gonna do through breakthroughs, what we're aiming for people that have been through problems, athletes that, you know, maybe they had a long journey to where they're at now, entrepreneurs that ran into a couple bumps and roads, or even maybe they had a smooth business but they went through it. We're gonna find multiple stories that what we're gonna do is keep empowering you guys and bring people to life, great people like this that went through things and that are doing great things now. Thank you guys, we love you.